Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to
Hello.
Coach's Corner.
Woo-hoo.
Coach's Corner. Wow. What are we talking about today? Something special as always.
As
Something special
always.
as always. So I want to welcome everybody tuning in live and those that may catch the replay later. But always feel free to engage and, drop some comments and some takeaways. And of course, always reach out to us if something really speaks to you that we share here. And I'm sure we're going to share some nice stories and experiences of how we see this material interpreted as well. But without further ado, I'm Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach / business consultant. My purpose is to reveal the hidden potential already within you and guide you to your truest desires. So I work with individuals, entrepreneurs, and businesses as well. And I'm in the Maryland area, and I would like to pass it on to my amazing colleague who is back, Lou.
Hey, thanks, Jamel. Hi, Alicia. We want to say a quick shout out to Paul, who's not able to be with us today, but he's doing some amazing work. So we want to say hello, Paul. But thank you all for joining us. I'm looking forward to today's topic as well, the Raiser's Edge. So my name is Lou Perica. I am a certified success mindset coach as well. And I guide and support growth minded women who may feel stuck, a little unfulfilled, and I help them reconnect with their inner truth by gaining clarity, confidence, and really the courage to finally take inspired action to the life that feels aligned to them, feels prosperous, and feels purposeful. Alicia.
Hello, thank you, Lou. Hi, Jamel. Um, my name is Alicia Espinosa. I am in Sweden, and I'm also certified values and mindset coach. And I help people to create a life that feels good on the inside, that are in alignment with their values. And I also help leaders to be leaders worth following. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I feel the energy. I feel it.
Good, yay.
Feel it. So speaking of energy, here I go again. This chapter, every word speaks to you when you're open to it.
Right.
And the reason why we do these is repetition to help people realize their own greatness. And we're talking about the razor's edge.
Mm.
What is that razor's edge for you? And, even think about a razor. It's very sharp. it can, I use it to clean our cooktop where you get the burnt marks off. But the point is, like, it starts off very potent. Sharp as a razor, by the way. You are only 1 inch, 1 step, 1 idea away from turning onto the boulevard of beauty in your own life. That is amazing. Anybody like to speak on that opening paragraph there?
Yeah, I'll start off. So most of us think that big wins requires big moves, and that's really not true. So the razor edge difference is really the difference between almost doing something or achieving something to actually doing it. And again, that's what we call the razor's edge. It could be one more phone call, one more repetition of something. Maybe you're exercising, one more hour on focused practice. You know, we a lot of us, depending on what your field is, if you're in sales, many times we think it's so crowded with a lot of competition. But when you really think of it, there's not a lot of people in the race. We might think there is, but there really isn't, because majority of people just stay at a certain level. They may not go that extra mile or do that extra thing. So if there is something that you feel that you could do better, just ask, how good am I at doing whatever it is that I do? And how much better can I be? And what could I do to be that little bit better? And that's what we're talking about, the razor's edge, which can make an enormous difference. Sometimes you may not notice it in a small frame of time, but over time, you will notice great rewards from doing that little bit extra, because again, most people are not doing it. I guarantee they are habitual creatures, and they're just doing enough to get by. And if you accept that, which is, to each his own, you will continue to receive whatever it is that you're receiving. But if you desire more, if you want more in your life, experience more, then doing the razor's edge, doing that little bit more can make an enormous difference. Alicia.
Yeah, I was thinking when I was reading the chapter, I tell you, I was like, what he means with that? Because of the language,
Mm-hmm.
And then I understand that, but in order to do the razor's edge, we need to have a clarity. And we have been talking about clarity in many of these calls, that you need to have a clarity. And when we put the clarity that, okay, what do I want? And is that what I want aligned with my value, what my core values are? Then what happens is that then I know that those small change will be the biggest alignment and impact, because they're alignment with what I want. So if I can take an example. So if you decide, if you have a business or you have a career and you want your value is to be excellent in what you do, well, your racers my tongue is like the racer's edge is just maybe take 5 extra minutes preparing a presentation or preparing something that you need to do in your work, or maybe preparing for a client meeting. That is when it is alignment with the values. So the values will give a clarity to choose the right micro actions. So you are not just being busy,
Mm-hmm.
but you are razor focused on what matters to you. So for me, I was thinking, what is my razor's edge? And it's, for me, I am my own tool for my job, for my work. And this studying every day, knowing who I am, what is the things, my hot button, and how can I be better to manage them? I am a human being, and sometimes those hot button is like, when somebody is not respecting my values, I feel like, but okay, how can I be better to manage that situation? And so this is what I understood that.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is so good to hear, different interpretations, right? And what we receive out of the same chapter, right? The same knowledge. Um, wow, that's so good, Alicia. And when I'm thinking about, you mentioned a key word there in between, better, right? Better is a good word. Bob always said that. And how can I have a better day or a better tap in to that version of me with the wish fulfilled, the goal achieved in a better way? How can I do better? What can I improve on that I didn't do yesterday? And this is our journey here, right? And that's life too, especially for those that want to grow and they desire a certain outcome. You want to basically be a better version of you over and over. What's the quote? I get better 1% every day or something like that,
Mhm.
right? So there's right in the beginning here, it kind of sets the stage of what this chapter is talking about. It says one person just about starts a project. The other person starts it. One individual almost completes a task. The other person completed. One person sees an opportunity, the other acts on it. Huge right there. One student nearly passes the exam, the other does pass it. And although the difference in their marks may be only 1 percentage point out of 100, it's that 1 point that makes all the difference. So this is not only on actions, it could also be mindset as well, your thoughts, right? That 1% that you had a positive thought more than yesterday, right? like that shift that you had, that vibrational shift. It's getting better at whatever it is that you're doing that's taking you towards your goal every day. And this is what separates the unsuccessful and successful people, those that kind of don't put any effort or even aware that, they can grow as a person. It's interesting when you think about that, because it even says one person just about starts a project. It's the start that stops most people. So I just about started. I got all my papers ready and, I got my notes, but I didn't start. I, I thought about starting. And that's where that conditioning is in, right? Where our old self is limiting us, holding us back, and our new self wants to start something new. We know it. We want to bring something out of us that's inside, but let's just stay back. So it's very interesting when they say that. Um, yeah, it's not only actions, because a lot of times we think it's just action, action, action. But if you're not improving your what's within and your mindset, you tend to, work against yourself. It'll create things you don't want. Yeah. Any thoughts there?
Um, yes. So I had a couple of notes here, and one of the stories within the chapter talks about, so there's a lot of story examples. And the one that one of them that I really enjoyed was the story about Vince Lombardi, and famous football coach. And I loved his second effort. And what is the second effort? He says, when you get stopped, surge again, right? Just surge again. I wanted to share a little story. So I was with some friends last week and we were just chatting and we were talking about goals and things we've attempted in our life. And one person was talking about the things that she had tried in her life that she really wanted to achieve, but she believed that she just didn't have the skills and capabilities to do it. One of the things was real estate, and she studied and studied and took all the tests. But when it came to actually going to homes and learning about the heating systems and the types of roofs, the type of house style the house was in, and she couldn't do it. She felt that she couldn't remember all these different things. And she said she really wanted to do this. She really, really wanted to. She even cut back her hours on her job. So now she went from a full-time to a part-time so she could dedicate time to becoming a real estate agent. And she says, and I just didn't do it. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the qualities. I didn't have the skills. Now, another person in the room who was a realtor, I happen to know her story, and we were comparing the differences. The other person who is now a successful realtor decided not to try it, but to do it. That was it. That was the razor's edge difference. She decided she was going to do it. Would the math or learning different heating systems, would that be challenging? Maybe. Would learning what an appraiser's job is, what a home inspector's job is, what the mortgage broker's job is, yeah, most likely because it's something new, yeah. But she made the decision to do it. See, the other person she's not less than, she has the same abilities and capabilities, but she believed she didn't. And it's almost like having one foot on first base and one foot on second base, right? Like, I'm going to try. If it works out, then I can take my foot off of first base and continue. But she kept one on each base. So she wasn't clear, and she didn't make that decision to just do it no matter what it takes. Whereas the other person did make the decision, no matter how long it was going to take, no matter the struggles, no matter what, she was going to do it. And that is a razor's edge difference. So it's whatever you decide that you want to achieve in life, want to experience, what you want to contribute to society, how you want to show up in the world. We have to make the decision. And regardless of what everyone says, stick to, as Bob would say, stick to your knitting, make the decision, and go through, learn all the skills, learn all you can about whatever it is that you want to achieve and do, and just do it. Make a decision. Don't just try, do it. There's no going back once. So that's what I've learned a lot through learning, studying, thinking into results, working with Bob, is that once I make a decision, I pretty much stick to it. If I truly believe that this is not for me, then I'd be like, okay, this really isn't floating my boat. But it's okay. I don't let it beat me up, and I don't feel bad. I just move on, make a new decision. But it's that decision making, getting clear, like Alicia said, what is it that I truly, truly want? What aligns with my values, make the decision, and then move into action. But also, before moving into action, move into the vibration of the person who's already achieved the goal.
Yeah, that's so good. I want to, because Jamel, you talk about the 1%, getting better, the 1%. And this is the thing that sometimes sometimes some clients or people that I talk, they say, yeah, but if I'm working on me, is because I don't think that I am good enough. And it's not about that. It's about learning who you are beyond the name, your programming from children and so. And I remember the first time I met Bob Proctor, and I was already certified coach. I have an NLP master and so, and many other certifications. And I came to Bob, and he asked me what I wanted. And I told him what I wanted. And he also asked me what I want to learn. And I say, yeah, I know this and this and this. And he told me that, Alicia, if you think that you already finished learning who you are, then it's better to dig a hole and then go and die.
Jump in it.
That moment, for me, it was a wake up, and I decided to always be a newer. So if I'm going to a training, even if I hear that from before, I am like taking notes and asking myself, how can I apply this, or why I'm not applying this? Because it's also, we know a lot, but the gap between knowing and doing is the action. And I want to tell them about working all the time. And also I want to talk about, for example, when I decided that I wanted to start my own coaching practice, one of my resource age was to be patient,
Persistent.
not persistent also, but very calm, because I wanted the results now. Patient,
Yeah.
It's so difficult to say that word, but patient, I needed to be better at that, because I wanted everything to be like, so, you have your, you decide something and you want to see you plant this seed, or I planted this seed and I want to see the flower the day before, the day before, not the day I planted it, So I was that person. So I needed to work a lot, working with that all the time, being better every day, and that. And also, Lou, you talk about vibrational or vibration. And the thing is that the vibration is the frequency we operate. And the Razor's Edge is not only in doing, it's also in being. It's about being. So your thought and emotions create a vibration. So a small emotional shift from doubt, for example, to curiosity, from frustration to determination, can be your Razor's Edge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and then it will be the law of attraction, that tiny vibrational shift.
That's right.
Can attract different opportunity, people, and resources. And then making the decision that, okay, I'm going for this, not try. I normally ask people like, okay, put your pen in your desk and try to lift them, only trying. You cannot do that. You need to pick up with your hand and do the thing. So yeah, that was what when I listened to you.
That's good. I love it. That's so good, Alicia. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about, earlier. It's also mindset, right? And it's not just action. And mindset is basically equivalent to vibration, right? So what frequency are you on? And you really think about it, this is probably more about vibration than actually taking action. If you really think about it, it could also be more about what's happening internally. because action is expressed, right? Whatever is impressed must be expressed. So if you have this burning desire to achieve or have whatever, that desire will naturally burn for you. It'll keep the fire hot and you will move with it. You become, rather than, forcing it. And that's where patience come in. Patience comes in with knowing. So as you're knowing, you're at a calm state. You already know that it's already here and there's no need to be impatient. So that's why these, Coach's Corner is so important to tune in, because now you're starting to learn more about yourself. And, as we discuss these topics. And speaking, knowing about yourself, there's a really good part here that I know a lot of people can relate to. It says, now you may have grown up with the idea that some people have it and some people don't, or because some people are much better than others. They enjoy much more of the abundance of life. But I want you to understand, right here and now, this idea is absolutely false. For you are every bit as good or as powerful as anyone you see, know, or even hear about. And I'm a strong believer of that. Because you know what tells us that we're not as good as someone else or can accomplish those things is our limiting beliefs. And it's conditioning. And it's part of your self-image. That little section right there, know that you are just as good as any of us here on camera, just as good as Bob, right? And then they go into detail to basically tell you how you're able. But the point is to know that you are. And we let the environment, or other people or certain things dictate what we believe our own potential to be. We have unlimited potential. And remember that you're extremely powerful every day. And more you do this type of work, you remember. Remember, right? You remember, you connect to the source of your potential. And this Razor's Edge is so powerful because it's more than just surface. It's really deep when you read some of the stories that were shared here. So know that you're powerful, right? And you want to release that power and understand it and use it towards the direction that you want to go. Or you're going to use that power in a way creating what you don't want. We don't want that.
I was thinking about when you were talking about creating and the inner work, and I was thinking about a sculptor, right? When a sculptor has a slab of marble, the sculptor doesn't stick on a nose and ears like a Mr. Potato Head or something, right? It chips away until the vision appears, right? So that's what we're doing when we do the Razor's Edge, when we get clarity, when we're persistent, when we fall in love with whatever it is that we want to do or be or achieve. This is all chipping away. When we get up and do that second effort, once we've been knocked down, we're just chipping away. And what we're doing is revealing something magnificent within us. I just wanted to share, because reading a lot of the stories in the chapter, how people made small shifts to get actually great results over the long time. And I was thinking about one of the stories is about a family service station, right? They fix cars, but business was really, they were losing a lot of business. They knew everything about fixing cars, etc., but they were thinking about actually closing the doors. So Bob spoke to them, asked them questions, and what they ended up doing, because he asked about not so much about their skills and abilities to fix cars, but more so like their attitude towards their customers and their own business. So what they ended up doing is they ended up creating an experience for their clients. So now when their clients picked up their car, not only was the car working, but now it was washed and it was vacuumed. That small difference made such a big, because I know when I clean my car, all of it just feels like it drives better, right? When you have a nice shiny car and it's all vacuum, it just feels like it drives better. So when I think about when I was younger and I needed to invest or purchase some sort of a product or service, when I was younger, I was probably looking for the better deal, right? I didn't really take into consideration about the customer service. I was more focused on the deal and getting what I needed. Fast forward, customer service to me is so important. I just purchased a watch online and I received it. I didn't care for it. I had to send it back. So I was having this interaction by email with this company over in Sweden. And I tell you, they were fantastic, fantastic to deal with. And I had to write them an email explaining that. But now I find myself becoming a loyal customer for the businesses that just go that extra mile to make me feel good, to give me more of an experience instead of just purchasing a service or product. And it could be so small, like just saying, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. We appreciate your business, blah, blah, blah. So I do find myself really being a very loyal customer, more so than the deal. It's how am I being treated? And what I've also learned to do by me expressing my appreciation, like if I go into a restaurant and the server comes over, I ask for their name. If they don't give it to me right away, I ask their name. I may ask them some couple of questions, and I'm treated much better. So I kind of elevate myself that way. And I do that with other businesses. I really show and express my appreciation. And so next time when I call to make an appointment or do something, I typically get better service. So it really can work both ways. The company or the business is benefiting, but we're both benefiting. It's a win-win, right? And isn't this what we all want? A win-win for everyone. So I just wanted to share that. Alicia.
Yeah, this service is really a razor's edge, because I also remember I moved from one city to another, and I could not go to my hairdresser because of the distance. So I asked somebody, can you give me a tip? Where can I go? You can go to this. This guy is so good. He has prices and so. And I went to that place, and I was there, and he started to work with my hair and so. And then suddenly a new customer came in, and he said, "Yeah, sit here." And he started to cut their hair. And then I was there waiting. And I was like, well. So that was my first and last time. And then I went to another place, and they said, "Yeah, come in." It was two women, and I was alone in the shop, or where they cut the hair, and both were working in my hair, and I am a loyal customer there, and it's so a little bit, so I was thinking about what you say, Jamel, about good. We are good as we are. And this is the thing, that sometimes when we don't feel good on the inside, we start to compare ourselves to others, what we see on the outside, but we never know what they have in their back package. We all have our back package, but it's human that when we don't feel good, and it's why it's so good to work with ourselves. Knowing the self-awareness is so important, because life is like, ups and down. But if I know myself, I don't need to go to compare myself to other. Oh, look, they are so good and I'm not so good, blah, blah, blah. These voices that we have in our head is so important to know yourself, your values, and what is and understand that life is like a magnet. It has a positive side and it has a negative side, and it's always there. And the thing is that, you say also about we are so powerful, and this is what life learn us, that it gives us situations where we start to work with things that we didn't know we could. Just because something happened in our life, it prepare us to next and next, and we learn more and more who I am, what are my powerful tools that I have inside me. This is so important. And again, comparison is the killer of joy. And as I normally say, it's like comparison is like drinking poison and waiting to somebody else die. No, it's we are ourselves that we are dying, killing ourselves by comparing ourselves. We don't know other people. We don't know their values. We don't know their issues they have. It's better to focus on yourself.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. It brought a lot of thoughts to mind, because the person that, let's say you're comparing yourself to someone that has a lot of success, they could also be hurting inside, right? They could be a multimillionaire and feel empty. It just looks good on the outside. And that's why your eyes can be a gift and a curse. Your ears can be a gift and a curse. So it's not always the appearance of things, right? So comparing yourself, I'm so glad you brought that up, is basically you lack the knowledge of self, to know thyself. And that's why we do Coach's Corner, is to help you understand who you really are and your true power. And this is so interesting. I had a client call today, and we talked about how thoughts become things and energy flows to and through you, right? It just is. So if energy is coming to your mind, to your conscious mind, what do you do with that energy? Are you comparing, oh, their car is nicer than mine. Oh, look how they wear new clothes all the time. Or their house is bigger than mine, or they just seem happier than me, right? That's a deep-seated paradigm, right? A limiting thing that's been there, and it doesn't give you any type of productive creation. All you're doing is stopping your creation and your potential, or limiting your potential, right? So the energy just is, and we as human beings, we decide what it is. Do we make it positive, or do we make it negative? And guess what happens when you're comparing yourself consistently over and over? You're reinforcing that paradigm, that limiting belief, and you're basically taking that energy that just is, and you're making it very negative. So we're walking magnets. You're going to attract more negative things, more things to compare about, and you're going to remain at this low vibrational state. That's interesting. So let's flip it over. Let's say all that thought energy you have, or maybe let's say 80% positive. You have all positive thoughts, right? You're focusing on how do I get better? How do I improve myself? How do I be more professional? How am I more kind to other people? How do I feel happier? Right? It's all a decision. And it comes with awareness too, because sometimes your thoughts, they'll just run like crazy. But if you're not aware of how you're feeling, because feeling dictates what you're thinking. So if you're not feeling well, you obviously been thinking about negative thoughts. So there's something, Bob shared here from Think and Grow Rich, and they talked about persistence, right? So Napoleon Hill, he devoted an entire chapter in his classic book, Think and Grow Rich, to the subject of persistence. He said, there may be no heroic connotation to the word persistence, but the quality is to the character of man and woman what carbon is to steel. So persist in knowing yourself, persist in improving yourself. And, we both shared about, service, having great service from different companies. What do you think that does as well? That's vibration. It's a vibrational connection. And persist in being aware of your thoughts, persist in improving yourself in all ways. And every day you're tipping that point past the razor's edge. This is very, very powerful to talk about. So I'm glad you brought that up. Any thoughts there? Saw you taking some notes there, Lou.
Yeah, I wrote down potential power is unlimited. So we all have potential power within us. And we get to make choices and decisions. We have free will. So to think that someone else is better than you are is a false belief. They're on their journey. Their journey has nothing to do with your journey. So follow in your own footsteps, follow your own path. So part of, I want to just get back into, making the difference, that small difference. And one of the notes I have here says, practice like a pro, right? So one of the stories, I think it was the man that did the first open heart surgery or open heart transplant surgery. He rehearsed in his mind over and over and over before he actually did the actual surgery. And this cut back on his stress because he had practiced it in his mind so often. So I know in sales, many times you're asked to do sales simulations, right, with prospects, and you may have a sales script. But doing this and doing the simulation, practicing it over and over. And I love how Bob made the difference between, because we always called it role play. And up to yesterday, I still called it role play. And then Bob said, don't say role play because the word play is in there. Say simulation. I was like, oh, I like that. See, now that is a small tweak. But that small tweak has now shifted my thought about doing sales calls, practicing rehearsals or things like that, like the simulation. So that one small tweak, I already feel a difference in that. And then what will you simulate for 20 to 60 minutes daily for the next 30 days? Will it be sales calls? If you're a keynote speaker, will you simulate your speech or whatever it is that you're talking about? Is it a webinar? Is it the call to action at the end? Is it a sales conversation? So what is it that you can do over the next 30 days? What small thing can you do to start simulating, start practicing? and having it become a new habit. And this new habit in the practice, what does it do? It builds your confidence. It gives you more clarity. It gives you more courage. And when you are ready to actually step into the real thing, you have practiced it so often, there's less stress. You're a lot more comfortable, right, in presenting. So these are razor edge practices. And I know, like, going on when I'm in Georgia, I go to public speaking classes. Now, we only speak in front of a small group of people, but we go up 3 or 4 times during the time we spend together. And by doing that over and over and over, when we had the big, what did they call it? The influencers, something, I forget what it was called. When I went up on stage, I was still a little bit nervous, but because I had practiced, so to speak, and done simulations in front of the class, being up on stage was a lot more comfortable than I normally would have been had I not practiced. So this is why figuring out really what it is that you want, what small difference can you make that will compound over time, and just for yourself, not for anyone else, for yourself, to get better 1% each day. It's very small, but it will have a compound effect. Alicia, Jamel?
Yeah, when you talk about the rehearsal about public speaking, it came to my mind when I did my TEDx. I was rehearsing all the time. And I also was visualizing myself doing with the public and so. But what I didn't visualize is that we needed to do a rehearsal before the public came in. And, I got blocked out. I didn't remember what I was going to talk about. And I was so afraid that I will do the same when the public will arrive in the place. But because I was visualizing that and rehearsing in my mind with the public, it wasn't any problem then, because it's, when you do that. I want to go back to you talk about the potential power that we have inside us, that we have a power within us that we don't know we have. And one of the things is so important is to believe in self, to go from to know that whatever life present to me, I will handle that. And it's a go from fragile to anti-fragile. You're fragile when you are like glass, and so you need to put like fragile, because if you use that, it can break. But if you think that you are anti-fragile, that you believe in yourself, and that what lives present to you, you will fix it, then you don't need to ask life like, oh, don't treat me like a glass, because then I will break. No, it's like, I am anti-fragile. Like, come on. And I know that I will fix that.
Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes I need to ask for help. That is also something that I needed to be better at, asking for help, because I am very independent since my mother died when I was young. I was a very independent person since I was a child. That for me was so difficult to ask, and it still is difficult to ask for help. That because, I think that, oh, I can do this anyway. Yeah, I know, but because I can do this, it doesn't mean that I need to do that without help. If I can ask, I am much, much better than before asking for help. And yeah, so this is go from fragile to anti-fragile, and know that whatever lives present to you, you will fix it because you believe in self.
Belief in self. I love it. I love that. And, we're all consultants / coaches, and, we get help as well. So if you've been stuck and this really speaks to you and you would like to learn more, just make sure you contact either of us that you resonate with, right? It doesn't matter. Just whatever will help you move towards your goal. And I always love Earl's definition, the progressively moving towards a worthy ideal, the definition of success. So if you're just thinking about it and just wishing and hoping things to change, you're not moving forward. And the next step is to just contact one of us to see if you're a good fit for this type of material that will basically not only get you what you want, because goals, they're just a byproduct of who you become. It's the real gift is who you change to, who you grow into, who you I always like to use the word blossom, because you're a very special flower that wants to blossom and show its beautiful colors to the world. And when you're not blossoming, you're thinking about it. You ever seen a flower that never really blooms? It just, you see the bud and it just sits there. And you're like, wow, I wonder what that flower could have been. This is deep. When you look at nature, it'll tell you. And don't be that bud that just sits there and thinks about blossoming. You need help. You know when something speaks to you. And if you've spoken to us before and haven't made a decision, see, we talked about decision. Decision, it'll free your mind. People that indecision creates disintegration and ambivalence. So it's opposite feelings going toward the same direction in one individual. That's chaos. Should I go left? Should I go right? Should I go left? Should I go right? How long are you going to sit in that position? You have to decide. I had enough. I'm ready to blossom and be that flower. And that's why we're here. There's something shared here in this paragraph. Bob says the factor which will catapult you into the big leagues, which will multiply your income from a material as well as a psychic point of view, will be your own ability to persist. Your own ability to persist. So the next time you step out and do something and the going gets tough, just remember that razor's edge difference for you could well be your own ability to persevere. Just try one more time with enthusiasm, and you could watch your accomplishments go from the ordinary to the extraordinary. The key word is your own ability to persist. Don't give up on those dreams. Don't give up on yourself. You have those dreams for a reason. They're meant for you to grow. Spirit is meant for fuller expression and expansion. And, we talk different things that we explain how certain things limit you, your own thinking. But it's time to override that and stop playing it safe. We talked about risk takers last weekend. It's all connected, So yeah, that was on my heart. I really wanted to share that because I know somebody need to hear that where they're watching from the outside and wanting difference. They want change. They don't know what to do. I've spoken to a lot of people that never invested in mentorship, never in their entire lives. And then they start to realize the power in it. How someone from outside of you can see the picture from a different vantage point.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very essential if you truly want to grow and be more, do more, have more in life. Yeah, that's my mic drop.
And it's a good one. You just said something towards the end about how many people we speak to that have never really invested in themselves in mentorship or coaching. And yet if they have children, it's amazing. They'll take on second jobs so their child can get the help they need for whether it's a sport or a particular subject at school, whatever it is. It's very interesting that we do that. I mean, I did it being a parent, but I also wanted to mention a couple of things that Jamel, you mentioned the goals are for growing. And the goal itself is really the byproduct, the getting of, right? The effect, whether it's the house, the car, the money, whatever it is. But the goal for growing, so what does that mean? What it really means is a shift in your vibration, a shift in your perspective, a shift in your mindset, a shift in your beliefs. That's what the growth is. And many times we talk about to really know yourself. And I just wanted to share this, that there's a difference between your higher self and, if you will, your lower self. And most of us are trying to fix or change the lower self without the help of the higher self. So, and that's what people might be saying, what the heck is she talking about, right? But this is what coaching brings, because we understand and we've experienced the differences. Sometimes it can get a little clouded because that lower self, that conditioned programmed mind, is very powerful. The mind is a spiritual instrument, and yet it's very clouded from all our programming and our limiting beliefs and self-doubt, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes to try to change ourselves or grow ourselves with that same thinking can be the challenge. And this is where coaching comes in. And to really see and feel and know and have belief in a person when they don't have belief in themselves just yet. But this is, again, the razor's edge. It's repetition, studying more and more, getting to understand how the mind works, how the programming works, how goals work, how to shift the vibration. This is all part of chipping away at that slab of marble. You are revealing, you are remembering, as Jamel said. It's remember, you are entering back where you came from. You are now, again, entering into the member, right? Membership, where you came from. That's what remember is, going back to your truth. But if you don't study this, how are you going to know all of this? But here's the good thing. There are coaches who do, and you are with 3 of them right now, and our 4th one is off doing amazing things as well. So we're here to serve. We're here to help you understand the higher self, the lower self, and the unlimited potential within you. But until you get clear and until you make a decision, until you say hell yes to yourself, there's really not much change. And life is so beautiful, and it's waiting. There's so much adventure waiting for each and every one of us, but we have to say yes to it. Alicia?
Yeah, no, it gave me think about the ego and the soul, because the lower us are much more than in the ego zone, like fixing to survive, to feel safe, to survive. And this is not bad, but if we are always taking a decision from that place, it's always fear-based decisions, like fear of not having enough, fear of not being loved enough, fear of not being good enough. And when we take decision from the soul, the higher us, it's more like, how can I contribute more? How can I leave something after me, my legacy? How can I cooperate more with people? How can I use my knowledge, my skill, my tools to help other people? That will be more from the soul, from the higher one. But if we are always making the decision from the ego, the fear-based, then we don't let the soul talk through us. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Such a powerful call.
Yeah.
Powerful session today. Yeah. I'll end on two really new habits that I created in my life, and I'll share here publicly. I mentioned it before in past sessions, and this is the most consistent I've ever been, waking up at 5:30 a.m. every day. And I can't tell you, thank you, how refreshing it is to wake up before everyone in our household and to be able to start my morning routine. Study, gratitude, meditation, affirmation, and it's a huge shift for me. And this is the most consistent I've ever been with getting proper sleep. So we have this fancy bed app that tells you your whole hours and all that stuff, heart rate, all that. But I noticed a shift in applying this material to myself, and I was persistent in taking that action. That's one. Another one is using my imagination more. I shared this in one of our private consultant calls, and using your imagination, visualizing, having that big goal already achieved, and asking myself, how does it feel? I've been doing that more consistent than ever, and it's so much fun. Sometimes, well, I carry it throughout my day as well. It's kind of cool to learn about these things that's always been here. And, you can develop it to however strong you want. So I wanted to share that. And, we're here to help you with those things. You're not by yourself, but you have to make a choice. Stop letting your limiting self hold you back, please. For goodness sake, for your goodness sake, for the world's goodness sake. Because guess what? When you hold yourself back, you're impacting other people. They're waiting for you to make a decision to move forward with the essence of who you truly are. Law of cause and effect. All right. This was great. We can do another hour, right, ladies? We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Next Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
Our call links are in the description and comments. Just reach out to us. Bye.
Bye.